Are you eligible to vote? If you are, how often do you vote? Every presidential election? Do you vote for representatives? How about in local elections? These kinds of questions just make me wonder how much we really understand about voting, and if we do it as much as we should. Now, for a little bit of history, people have been voting for thousands of years. It started in ancient Greece when Athenians would all get together and vote together directly in person to make decisions about their communities. But as populations started to grow, having citizens vote directly became a lot more difficult and disorganized. So a couple centuries after the Athenians did it, the Romans gathered and decided to have a representational democracy, where a small group of people would make decisions for the much larger group of people. Now, this is going back thousands of years, but to focus on voting history in America, it could be said that to vote is part of what it means to be an American. Now, America was one of the first colonies to really separate and assert its independence from monarchy. Nations worldwide used our revolution as blueprint for their own independence. And our Constitution outlines how our democracy is for the people, by the people. And we've fought multiple wars and gone on a bunch of political and diplomatic campaigns just to assert this to the world. Now, as outlined in the Constitution, we, the people, vote for two major branches of government. We vote for the president, and we vote for the Congress. Now, the president has control over signing things into law, and he tends to be the head of the military. He also decides who gets put into what court, and that kind of decision is then ratified or approved by the Senate and the House of Representatives. But we also vote for our representatives in the Congress. There are two houses in the Congress, as I said before, the Senate and the House of Representatives. And these are the people who really make decisions based on laws, budgets, and the courses of our lives in some cases. Now, let's just focus in on the president here for a little bit. Voting for the president is important in that it allows us to decide who runs the country. People usually vote for presidential candidates based on party identification, but sometimes it can kind of be like voting for a team that we can support instead of just voting for candidates because they have good views. Now, this isn't necessarily bad, but it also doesn't make us voters think about how those candidates' views will affect our lives. But people also vote based on a candidate's personal traits. We, as people, as human beings, tend to like people who are similar to us or have traits that we admire. And voting for someone based on their personal traits is a little bit better than just voting based on party identification. But it also doesn't look at the policies that the candidate supports. Finally, we tend to vote for president based on their actual stances on issues. And in my opinion, this is exactly what we should be looking for if we want to choose a president that really reflects our political views. Different candidates see different issues happening, and how they respond as candidates can give us a really good idea as to how they will respond as president. Now, I get to be a little bit nerdy with this just because I'm a double major, POGO, Politics, Government, and Communications. But what we really should be voting for and putting our effort into voting for is our representatives. While our president is absolutely an important part of our democracy, the representatives are the people who really represent us, our views, and our intentions when choosing governmental structure. So let's take a little bit of a longer look at them. So representatives just have a greater impact on our lives. They have longer terms, can make laws, and influence us a little bit longer than the president can. Now, they are also the ones that make laws that affect us directly. These people are the ones who write the laws. The president just signs them into action. Without representatives, the president wouldn't even have a job. And in the end, voting for representatives is exactly what it sounds like. Representatives. These people represent us in government. And so to vote for a representative is to have your opinion be displayed and able to affect laws in our country as a whole. And I really get it. Voting can be a hassle, standing in line, waiting for all those hours, but there is a way to make it just a little bit easier. We can use mail-in ballots. Most states have some way of being able to fill out a ballot at home and then mail it in to be counted for the election. This is especially important and easy to do if you're living away from home like I am. Now, we can also work on our strategic voting timing. That means getting to a voting place when we know it's going to be a little bit less busy and then getting along with the rest of our day. Also, if you want to take this route, parties sometimes create flyers for who to vote for based on party identification. Again, I personally don't recommend that, but if that's something that you want to do, you are completely able to make that decision. Now, some different kinds of states have different laws when it comes to voting. For example, some states require that you have a state ID with you when you go to vote. And if you'd like that changed, what you can do is you can go out and vote, or you can affect some of your friends to go out and vote for these laws that you're looking at. Now, I realize that not all Americans are eligible to vote, but for those who can, at the end of the day, voting is a choice that we all make. We either care about what happens to our nation, our cities, our lives, and our democracy, or we don't. Thank you.